Hello. Hi. Welcome back. Or welcome for the first time. Either one. Torres, Nicole, you already know that if you're watching this or listening to this. So, yeah. I think today we were talking about, so the whole thing about like, don't get mad at me, right? And like how we start off so many of our sentences, like when you come into my door, sometimes that's like the first thing that you start, like, you'll have all your bags with you because you always have so many bags. You'll have all your bags with you and you'll just be like, okay, don't get mad at me, but like, yes, he can say that, I can't, but don't get mad at me, but I broke my,
I got in a car crash.
There's that. Or, I broke my grinder fast and the first date was a disaster and all he could do was talk about me or talk about himself or whatever, right? So that's like just a sentence in general that I feel like it's thrown, because I've also done it where I'll be like, don't get mad at me, but remember that guy that I told you that I was in love with? No longer in love with him. I'm going to drop him next week, like that kind of thing. And so I think that's quite a fun premise for like a title for a podcast, but also it's interesting that like, I don't know. I don't think we're actually like being like, don't get mad. Like, I don't actually think you're going to get mad at me, No,
I would never.
I don't think you actually like get, you actually think that you'll get mad at me.
I think we're like pretty good about understanding like the circumstances behind our questionable decisions. I think when we have to be real with each other, we'll do it in a way that is
Oh, here's another thing that we've been working on and learning about is like vocal tics or vocal.
Yeah.
I don't know there's probably some specific term, audio health or something, where, when you're podcasting where, because I did have a podcast a while ago, like very pre-COVID a while ago, right? And that was kind of my kiddie pool, bunny hill, shallow end, learning about audio and what gets picked up in a mic, and even the whole thing about how, podcasting is, the goal of podcasting is to make it look so easy that even two people that are silly, I was going to say morons, but we do moronic things. We are not morons, but two people like us that have the audacity to go, oh, we can start a podcast. Let's start a podcast, right? It looks easy. It's not that it's not easy. Like, it is very easy given everything else I think we do in life, but there's things that I think part of it is that it makes you so aware of things that you do that you would never know that you did otherwise if you didn't watch yourself on video, if you didn't hear yourself talking, right? So for me, I think with me, my thing is like, so it's like, filler words.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how filler words, I think like is the one that I tend to default towards. And there's the whole thing about how they're meant to soften the statements that you're making or like position the things that you're saying in like a softer manner or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the like linguistic side of it is and why it is predominantly associated with women, why it's predominantly also frowned upon because of its association with women, I think, because hey, patriarchy, all those things. Talk like a man. But it's one of those things that it's like, I'm aware of that and I know I do that. And it's funny because I remember in high school when I literally decided I was going to start doing that, because I never used filler words prior to like this one. I had a very cognitive thought about where I was like, I want to make like more friends with my friends, or I want to make more friends or something. And so I just decided, I was like, I'm just going to start using these words. Oh, wow. Now that I'm talking about it, this sounds so neurodivergent. I was like, I'm going to copy their speech patterns. So they tend to put filler words in a lot. So I'm going to start doing that. And now I have the way that I speak by default. Even though if I really try hard, I definitely probably could. Definitely probably could. Yeah, no, yeah. So filter out those words, not use the filler words, right? Like if I wanted to, I really probably could, but I also just choose not to in a lot of contexts and situations, because part of me is, well, what's the point? And that's his.
I was going to say two things.
I might probably edit those out. So if I edit those out, basically he does this like tongue clicky thing.
Can we do a little soundbite where it's like a tiny like little?
I might just leave those in, but anyways,
I think it's important to the conversation. I just wanted to say two things. Shout out you for like starting this. Nicole does a lot of the editing.
I do all the editing.
She does all. Sorry. Me being a man.
Go ahead and just take my, take your 900% credit and I'll get 80% or 81%.
Remember, folks, a gay man is still a man at the end of the day.
Still a man. Still a man, reminded of that daily.
But shout out Nicole for doing all the editing. Also teaching me giving me the PR training for all this because I did not know any of this. I'm like, oh, like, can we do a shout out to other podcasters? Yeah. Oh, Trixie and Katya, like, it seems easy. I'll just cackle, laugh, and do my little thing. I'm like, no, we can't be wearing a lot of jewelry. We should not be making those tick sounds that you hear me doing. Like, there's a lot of things that I've been learning about this whole process that I think has been really interesting. More so just to be able to, make sure we have a clean edit so you can edit it without any, without any challenges. This is going to be so fun to edit, I feel. But yeah, I just wanted to do a really big shout out at Nicole. I think aside from having great conversations with Nicole, she's really fantastic at editing. This is her world and yeah, she's really good at it. Really fantastic at it. Per the conversation about the filler words.
Yes.
I had a teacher. Can I say this teacher's name?
Yeah.
Shout out Miss Gaslam. Shout out Miss Pope. Best English teachers in Cabrillo High School. Shout out Miss Stanley too. There's this whole joke about like how the English teachers are like the mom or dad of like the little gay kid before he comes out of the high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Like that they go and sit like in the classroom during recess or whatever. Oh, that's actually wholesome.
Yeah, it's really sweet. But I think Miss Gaslam was really great about her. She really trained us to not use the word like because it just didn't sound like it was an AP English class. She really put it in our brain like not to use the word like in conversation or in essays because it just it
well, it introduces a level of casualness that you don't necessarily want in an AP English.
Correct. That and like the way we kind of talk and present and all this stuff is really important because it really kind of helps make us sound more, I don't want to say intelligent, but yeah, make us sound more smart.
Credibility.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to filler words, like I really try to avoid to use the word like. I think it's helped me a lot in terms of like, in terms of being able to, present ideas and articulate ideas in a way that sounds,
professional,
academic, professional.
Yeah.
Like I know my shit. So
again, because it's something that's looked down upon, whether it's right or not. I don't think it's right too, because I think it's another way of people trying to establish barriers and say, oh, your opinion's not as valuable or as worthy as this other person's opinion because it's reflecting like your poor upbringing or your poor socialization or your social groups or something. Even though they could be presenting the exact same idea, just because one of them uses filler words and the other one doesn't. One of them comes off as, elite and intelligent and whatever, which goes into the whole thing about patriarchy, also race, all those things, right? Just the way we talk and like the indicators that we use. In my situation, it's weird to me that I chose to my standard speech patterns were more aligned with probably what I would want now, which is more, no filler words, and the vocabulary I would use was just, I don't know, a little more just words that maybe I wouldn't use casually nowadays. But at the time in high school, I chose to change my speech into that so I was more approachable by other high schoolers, or in college even, because I didn't want to come off as like, oh, this nerd that knows everything, or, oh, look at that person that like hoity-toity that thinks that they're intelligent or whatever, that type of thing. Even though now I will sometimes almost even like lean into the use of like filler words because I think it's funny. Because I think it's funny to be presenting really like high concept ideas or talking about things, like talking about different ideas or concepts in ways that are, you know, we've been trained to do this, but I'm going to use all the filler words I want because I'm not at a podium. I'm not in a professional workplace. I'm sitting around a campfire with friends talking about this. You know, the environment calls for the casualness of it versus if I was up and at a, you know, the LA like pitch your friend for a date events where you make a PowerPoint for your, like you're supposed to go and one of your friends is single, but your single friend, you're like pitching your friend to the audience to be like, this is Torres. Yeah, this is Torres. Like, this is why you want to date him. This is what he's like. This would be what he's like to be a boy. Actually, you know, that would actually be fun for us to do. Okay. We should go to one of those.
You know, actually, yeah.
But anyways, in that context, I would probably not use as many filler words because I would be like on a stage trying to sell my friend.
I want to make a joke, but I don't think...
I know, I just thought of a joke too, and I'm not going to say that. Yeah, that'll be for the Patreon.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways. But it's also hard though, right? Because you have to be aware of your vocal tics or your filler words or the way that you're presenting yourself on a podcast, but not let it be... Because that was kind of originally why actually I even debated bringing it up to you, because I didn't want to put constraints around what you say.
I don't think it's doing that. I think it's just like, I think when I get really excited, I think that's the other thing too. When I get really excited about something or like I have this idea in mind that kind of correlates with what you're saying, it's like it's a little like noise gateway before the idea comes out of my mouth. And it becomes a really difficult thing because like as I'm talking to you, I'm just like, don't do it, girl. Don't do it. We've already done it like maybe I think 8 or 9 times. If I count it right, that's crazy. But no, I don't think it's constraining. I think I just have to be very like mindful, right, of what how that kind of presents itself.
It's the idea of like when there's a stage actor, even just actor in general, or just musician even, right? Where it's like artist in general, right? Where, and isn't that a thing? I don't know if we've talked about that recently, but the idea that like great art comes from there being constraints, because at a certain point when there's like too much freedom. Like, I don't know. It's interesting to create art when you're given boundaries or rules or here's things you can't go past, right? Because with an actor, you're like, oh, here's the mark I have to hit on this word every single time or whatever, you know? And so, but how do you make that look like you're not hitting a mark and that it's natural, but that's your constraint, right? Is, oh, I have to embody this and be this person, but also on the technical side, I have to be technically really good, but not let that. That's why, you know, all these actors that you see, you're like, oh my God, you're so good because you're technically so good and so consistent and you have studied and practiced your craft and you're good at that. But also you are making us feel things and you have the artistry side of things, right?
It's interesting how you bring up the whole thing about constraints makes like great art. I feel like that's how I kind of like approach education with like my students. Because I think there's like a part of me that kind of feels like we kind of have to put these constraints, this like contain like sandbox. So there is no like overthinking that's involved. To be able to make work with the rules that I'm setting in place. But also it's like, I don't know if I'm going too far off the subject here, but it's like, how do you also showcase your own individuality, who you are through these constraints? Hence, going back to the topic of the podcast, how can I replace this tick sound with something that's not going to mess up the audio? It's crazy. It's crazy being in this space of like a podcast because like I would say like both of us are really good at like talking, conversating, like that's no issue. But there was something that Nicole had brought up about like, you know, still be yourself, but also think about this, this, and this, and this. And it's just like that's going to be a great like video to edit.
It's the idea that in order for the thing that we create to see the light of day, there has to be a certain amount of like technicality to it that makes it also pleasant to consume, I guess. Or maybe that's not the right term. But it can't just all be haha, fun, wild, no constraints, right? Because then if that was true, then there would be things like peaking audio that's blowing out your eardrums.
It's sloppy.
It's sloppy. Yeah, it's sloppy. Yeah. And, this is by no means going to be technically perfect because, again, I'm not a sound person. I'm learning all this on YouTube.
When you see the video she edited with the type, they're great.
I'm learning all this, right? I chose the Hobo STD font because I thought it was a funny name for a
Great
font.
typeface, by the way.
Is STD actually, what does it stand? Is it standard or is
it might be standard.
Okay.
It's just funny saying STD because like Hobo STD, what is that? A new monkeypox? I don't know.
Yeah, and so that's why I selected the font, but the font was actually quite nice. And so I was like, I'm just going to stay with this font then. But it's things like that where I'm like, I know that it's not going to be, if someone was an expert in this field, right, they would not be like, oh, this is such a great quality, right? But my thing is I'm like, look, I just want to create something that's fun with someone that I enjoy creating with and that is accessible, as in we have all the pieces of tech that we need from my self-tape audition space and all those things, right? And you and your expertise in the design and, making the logo and everything. And so...
just yapping.
It's just like... I like that we can make something, but also I think we work to the same standard where it's not just, no, just put it out there and like let it go. Because for me also and also for you, I guess as a podcast consumer, I will turn off a podcast if I'm like, ooh, no, there is the audio quality sounds like they recorded it on their iPhone 7, or there is a lot of, they chewed during the podcast. They were slurping during the podcast because the whole misophonia thing.
I was just about to... What's misophonia?
Misophonia is... I think it's still a thing. I don't think it's considered... It's not like officially considered like a mental thing or not. But if you look... I feel like it probably at some point might be considered one. I think it might have to do in the realms of maybe anxiety or OCD. Essentially, there's certain
excuse me,
sounds that... they've shown in some brain scans that it helps to stimulate like regions of the brain that should not be stimulated by that. So for me, if I hear something chewing, even if it's like a little squirrel chewing on something, absolute rage, blackout rage, and like a rage where I'm like, I need to either leave the situation right now immediately, or I need to strangle the thing that's making the noise.
She's gonna kill me.
I won't do that.
She's gonna kill me.
I don't do that. I might do that.
I don't chew. I just want to. Well, I do, but
you do.
Not like often, but
you do.
I understand. I understand that feeling because I felt like that was like, I don't think I'm bad mouthing him here. That was a big thing with like one of my past partners. He would chew really loud,
which is a cultural thing, right?
Which I didn't know.
Yeah, that's a cultural thing. Like there are just there's importance on chew with your mouth closed with some cultures and others that's not. And like, I understand that, but it's one of those things where, and I think that's why, I think misophonia is a relatively new, like within the last 15 years, like terminology. I believe so. Maybe that's only when it started to enter my realm space online. But it is one of those things that's like, there are some people that are like debilitated by it. Cause it's not even just like chewing. It's things like, oh yeah, like you're breathing. And like, as absurd as that sounds, like, that is a thing that was like, this either needs to stop or I need to just not be around this person.
I remember I had a friend, well, she's still my friend, but she would be so bothered by my breathing. Part of it was because like, I'm not making excuses, but because my tonsils and my deviated septum, it just made it really hard for me to like
get enough air.
Yeah. Like I'm even still learning how to breathe, like without my tonsils or my deviated septum. And like it's really like kind of like, whoa, there's so much air coming inside of my nose. Fuck. So I'm sorry.
You can't do that every single time. It's gonna make a terrible podcast if you react every time you fail up on the mouth tick. But we're learning. This is the training wheels episode.
Maybe can they like put some sort of chip in my head to like zap me before I actually say the thing? Like,
what if I full on slap you every time you do the mouth thing? I just commit violence on you every single time.
Girl, that's how they conditioned indigenous people in the Americas.
To do what?
I saw a movie one time about this like girl getting like slapped in her hands. Not because she was making a tick sound, but because she couldn't answer the question right. So she kept getting hit with a ruler, and it was like this white nun lady hitting this indigenous girl. I'm just like, oh my God. That's where my mind went to.
Oh, we got hit on the hand growing up, but that was because we did something bad and we weren't old enough to get spanked yet, I guess. Oh. Or if we like touched something, like if we opened up the refrigerator, we weren't allowed to open the fridge when we were like little, like 4, you know? And so if we like touched the refrigerator or whatever, our parents would be like, all right, give me your hand, and then like smack our hand. Not like smack our hand, but like it was
like a little tap.
was enough to make us cry, but like, like, can I do it on your mosquito bite?
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't do violence on you on camera. No, but
She said that's
so there's
the
that, and then there was
OnlyFans
also
website.
I learned that that's for the paid. That's only paid. You'll see me hit Taurus for your viewing pleasure. I'll have to erase that. No, I won't. I'm just gonna leave this. It was all one take, anyways. But the other thing about hating Irish, I learned that was one of the ways that like they tried to eliminate the Irish language in Ireland was that they had these like sticks, and I forget what they were called, but they were these sticks that they would. I forget if it was like on a necklace that the kid would have to wear or if they'd have to carry it around with them. But it was something about like if the kid spoke Irish, like used their Irish, they would get like a notch in the stick. And then at the end of the day, they would get like that many whacks with the stick, like beating essentially. And there's a certain name for that like the like talking stick or whatever it was called. And it was a way to basically eradicate the Irish language in the next generation. Because the idea was that, like, oh, this way the adults will help to enforce the kids not speaking Irish and only speaking English. Because it's too late for the adults, right? Like, some of the adults didn't know English. They couldn't learn English. But they were like, oh, these school-age kids, we can literally beat the language out of them. And we'll hold them accountable by giving them this stick and making notches and all that.
That is so fucked up.
I know. There's a whole history I'm learning with, like, the Irish language. And there's a lot of things, and it's not just like a language, right? Like it is a language, but it's tied to so many, like it's almost like a political statement to be like, I'm learning Irish, which is interesting coming from me, American, that, I've dabbled in other languages, but I've never really come across a language that, when I was in Ireland back in December, I used like a very, I was talking to, went into a pub, wanted to have a little Guinness, and it was kind of one of those pubs where they obviously all knew that I was a visitor. And I don't remember exactly. I was in like, if I was looking at, I don't even know what part of Belfast I was in. I was in Belfast. And basically I like, stepped outside to like leave at one point or whatever. But then I ended up like chatting to one of the guys that was there, and he was probably in his like 50s or maybe his 50s, maybe 60s. I don't really know. But he was like a middle-aged gentleman. And we were talking, and then, had a nice little chat. And we were talking about pub culture and how, like, becoming a regular at a pub, or how, him and his wife would walk over to the store, and then on the way back home, they'd stop in and get a pub and then continue on their way home, right? And I was like, oh, that's so cool. What a novel concept to me as an American. And then at the end of the conversation, I just was like, oh yeah, well, like, Gurmaga, like, Yehoah, like, thank you, like, good night, like, that kind of, I think I might have even just said, like, Yehoah, like, like, good night. And I remember he was a little like, oh, you have a little Irish. And I was just like, oh, I'm learning just like a little bit, like nothing, whatever, nothing big. And it was cool because in that situation, like, he was like, oh yeah, I have a little bit of Irish. I grew up, close by, and like, these things. But then later on, I was talking to, Cute Boy, and he was like, wait, you did what? And I was like, yeah, I just used my smile. He was like, well, that's pretty bold of you. And I was like, what do you, he didn't use the word bold. Bold also means something different in Ireland than it does here. But he was like, oh, it's kind of ballsy of you to use Irish with a stranger. And I was like, why? I mean, you dumb American. Why? He's, I have it. I'm going to use it. And he was just like, yeah, I mean, like, you can get away with it because obviously not Irish in all the ways. And he's like, you can get away with that, but also like in some contexts, like that would kind of like, if it was him who is obviously Irish doing that, like that could be cause of like a beating, or maybe not a beating, but like not a good situation at all, possibly, because like there's still a pretty decent population in Ireland that is very like, the Irish language is dead. It should not be spoken. There's no use for it. And like, why do we still have to teach our children it? That kind of thing. And like, we shouldn't allow it in court. It should not be allowed in government, like all these things. Right. And so someone using Irish with someone like that it would almost be the equivalent of being like, I'm on this side of politics and you're on that side of politics. And I've just used language now to indicate what my side is, which is interesting. As like a language learner, we're like, I've never had to be careful, and maybe that's because I've only studied languages that are in areas that are very I can use Spanish anywhere in LA, and it's not necessarily like, for me, a political statement.
It's interesting. You're bringing up something really interesting about like how language is political and is politicized.
Yeah.
I think like if I had to kind of relate it in some way through my own lens, like it's interesting that with Spanish, like it's not indigenous like Mexican like language like roots. It's become assimilated through like Spanish colonial rule. Like the only reason why we speak Spanish or we have the Spanish dialect in Mexico is because of
Conquistadors.
colonization. I mean, it's interesting how colonization is like not just limited to just like language, but also like I didn't know there were like plants that technically like are invasive that are seen as like colonizer plants, which is kind of crazy to me to think about.
What do you mean?
So a friend of mine, Ari, she was talking about how the missionaries that came here to California would bring these, I think they're like, I was gonna say mustard gas flowers. They're these like yellow flowers that are not native to California.
Okay.
So they became invasive. But the reason why these like priests brought these flowers is because essentially it helped them lead the way to these like missions that they established throughout California.
Oh, like make a trail.
Correct.
Like follow the yellow flowers and you'll be able to.
Correct. But in the end, these flowers ended up being something that ended up really messing up the ecosystem, which I was like, huh, interesting. It's like, it's very parallel and just echoes like the mission of like, you know, white colonial like rule in America.
Those were Spanish people.
Spanish are white. Spanish are white people. They technically are.
Is that why I think they're so pretty? No, oh no.
Oh,
I
girl.
can't say that.
Oh, okay, is this where we cut the podcast?
I don't think I ever actually went on a date with anyone from Spain. Partially because of the whole usted. Like what this?
You know what we should watch? Can I make a reference to the show?
No, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Girl, that's French.
Parlez-vous français?
There's this really great show. It's Drag Race Spain. The first 2 seasons are actually really incredible. Ooh. There's a lot of like slang in Spanish from the Spanish language that I didn't even know about. And I was like, oh shit, okay, work. Like I didn't even know about that. I think would be really like great to see with you. So they also release The Office in Spanish. Like not like a dub, but like The Office if it was in Mexico City.
It was how The Office was originally English and then America took it and then Spain?
Mexican.
So there's a Mexican office.
La Oficina.
La Oficina. Ooh. Is it still the same premise, like in the same world?
Not the paper it's not a paper company anymore. It's a soap company.
Interesting. How far can you deviate from something like that before it's not really The Office and you're like, just make it a new series. Like just make it it's a mockumentary. Right? Like do they still have the Jim character and the whoever the boss character's name was and you know?
I don't
like a Michael Scott and the Jim and a Dwight, like those because I think the British version had the characters, right? But I think they might have changed a couple of the names, but it was like the exact same like type of character.
I haven't looked into like that yet. I just saw the trailer. But I think they keep the same like style of cinematography.
The mockumentary.
Yeah. And like they have the same hierarchy structure in terms of the characters. I think this boss is a little bit more of an asshole.
The British boss was big time asshole.
Yeah. I feel like Michael was like, he was just dumb, but he was kind.
It was very, I think I would be curious to watch that actually, only because it is a very good, I think, it's a curious reflection on the culture that it was made in, right? Because the British Office, there's people that love the American Office that they hate the British version of The Office, right? But it's because that was a British TV show created for British people. Versus American was an American, like we'll take the concept of this British thing, but we're going to alter certain characters in certain ways to make it an American TV show, right? And it's one of those things where even like, if you watch it, the British Office is so monochromatic and drab and kind of gray and depressing. which I'm like kind of like, oh yeah, it's always raining there. Like you never see sunlight, so like that's kind of accurate, right? Versus the American office is very like, ooh, hi, hello, we're hopeful for the future.
I feel like there needs to be this like legitimacy to like, how do I say? It's like a show is never going to get greenlit unless there's some like history with it. Does that make sense? Like,
well, there's the whole idea about how right now we're only doing, you know, live action versions and sequels instead of creating like, what is it, original content, like IP, intellectual
original
property.
Actors, like new actors, that sort of thing. I mean,
yeah.
we're kind of doing that with like Obsession. You don't like horror, I just remembered that.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie, by the way. Great movie. But yeah, a lot of people are liking this like fresh challenge, fresh like new story sort of thing. And I think like, I'm not saying that Hollywood's doing it entirely, but there is this like attempt to like kind of get there.
It's the idea, it's the whole, it's, you know, there's always the pendulum, right? About being, does the industry want something that's super new and we're going to just green like, you know, the streaming bubble, right? We suddenly have all these resources and we can greenlight anything that comes across the desk. Like it's not really a risk, right? But then swinging the other direction going, ooh, no, this, like maybe that didn't pan out. So we're going to swing and be now kind of risk averse and really only approve things that we know are almost like guaranteed to make money because of names or stories or whatever. Right. And like, where is that sweet middle where you're like, oh yeah, it is new storylines, new characters, new actors, but also still, because I think that there is also something that's really cool about things like maybe not Star Wars. Well, yeah, Star Wars, I get like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Those ones were, you know, these movies spanned what, 10 years? Or how long did Harry Potter from like, you know, the first one to the very last one?
It has to be more than
was it like 15 years? Because those kids like grew up in the movie, right? Essentially. But like things like that, right? Where like you want kind of, at least for me, I want franchises like that where you're like, oh, cool, we're growing with, you know, Toy Story. You're growing with these characters. That's so cool. But then also, I do want new stuff like, you know, what was the Kung Fu movie? The bagel?
Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, I love that movie.
You know what you're touching on? It's like, I feel like that's like...
I want both.
I feel like that's the danger of like nostalgia. Like, I feel like the movies that have kind of touched on this is like the Barbie movie. And there's a movie with Anya Taylor-Joy where like this girl wants to be a fashion designer. And like she moves this... Last Night in Soho, I think. It was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she has a whole... I had a friend that did a monologue from there, and she has a cigarette. Yeah.
It's like the character essentially is like really... Spoilers. She's like obsessed with this like era, time period, but like she didn't really quite like understand how that time or period like affected like women.
It's the idea of I was born in the wrong era.
Yeah.
And you're like, you would have been hopped up on Valium and dead by 23.
I mean, it's that, but it's also this other question that I think Barbie kind of touches on, like, you know, what happens when we stick to these like things in our childhood, but we don't see, like, how do I say this? It's like the toy itself, Barbie wants to grow out of this. She doesn't want to stay stuck in like this, what's the word I'm looking for?
Escapism.
It's not escapism.
Infantilization. No.
It's like I'm 35. I'm not judging anybody, by the way, because I know there's a lot of Pokemon gays out there. But it's like if I'm still into Pokemon up until like I'm 80, right? And like Pokemon was designed for children. Like it's designed for children. Mm-hmm. But I know for a lot of us, we kind of like stick to that because like we find endearing, personal, whatever. But it's like, why can't we allow like maybe the series to grow with us? Like, why does the series get to stay like stuck for this audience that will, you know, eventually grow out of it, and then the next generation will come to kind of fill in that space? Does that make sense? I don't know if I went off a tangent there, but I find that notion really kind of like interesting.
What, nostalgia?
Yeah, like what does it mean when there's certain people that cling onto nostalgia so hard that it's like you're kind of like, this is a crazy example to bring up, but you know, there's these like porn parodies that I see where they'll do like a porn parody of like, I don't know,
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like, this is like meant for children. And so it's kind of like are we fanficting? Fanficting? I want to
fanfiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what the plural or the active of
that's
that
gonna be great to put
be.
on the fucking like video clip, but ficting.
I don't know. Okay.
Fan fisting. But like, there's this whole thing of like, what does that do to the audience? Like, what does it say about us as like fans of the series? Like, I mean, girl, listen.
Escapism. Also, some companies are really good at that. Capitalism, right? Let's boil it down to two easy things. Nostalgia makes us money, so we can just continually pump out things that these fans will buy because now they're in the better tax bracket that they have the resources to buy these things.
Not me, girl.
And then the nostalgia of it is like, oh, we seek comfort in things in the familiar and predictable, right? And when everything else is unfamiliar or everything else is unpredictable, we're going to revert back to the things we know are safe in our little comfortable cave, right? So this is not back to. I have not done any research on this. This is just me throwing out things from what I know in anthropology and
we got 2 degrees, girls.
We have 4 degrees sitting here, and yet
4.
And yet
I was like, you got 4 degrees? That's crazy.
No, I think I was
in
gonna
this economy, girl.
I was gonna make a dead joke, but I was like, nah.
What are you gonna say?
There's 4. I don't know. There's 4 degrees sitting here. It's the whole joke, right? When anytime like we can't do the most simple. There was one time we couldn't do something, like both of us. It was really dumb, and I was like, oh no, how many degrees does it take to more than 4?
I have a friend. I keep bringing him up, Jake. But there's this whole like joke whenever I say something dumb or do something. They're just like, Mama, use those 2 degrees. Come on. And
We're
like,
trying, Mama. We're trying. It's hard.
I just find it really funny. But yeah.
What if there's just no problem though with enjoying kid things?
I mean, I know.
Right? Like, I feel like I have heard of it as being presented as like an issue or a bad thing or a problem. But part of me is kind of like, I mean...
Well, there's a whole thing with Disney gays.
Okay, well, Disney adults in general, I can't like... So Disney adults, I feel like is like the overall category, right? And then Disney gays would be like a subsection of that section.
The colorful section.
What's the difference between a Disney gay and a Disney adult?
I don't think there's any difference.
Why would they brand themselves as Disney gay than Disney adult then?
I don't know. Maybe they're sexualizing Prince Charming. I don't fucking know. I don't know. It's like, I feel like a lot of gays are going to fucking attack me for this. God, I sound like...
Get them, boys!
I feel like... I feel like an incel saying this. But like, I don't know. I think we had this conversation about like how theme parks become this thing where it's not just escapism, but like, is it a very easy way to take our mind to this manufactured imagination? Like, why can't we as individuals make up our own, I don't know, creative, imaginative like worlds? I'm not saying make a movie or like do a comic or whatever. I mean, if you have the skill sets to do that, great. But like, why is it that as a society we have to rely on these like man-made creative like narratives that are like beloved by the mainstream to escape? Like, why can't we, I don't know, not so much
make our own Disneyland?
Yeah. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Is that legitimate? Is that I don't know.
I can kind of see what you're saying, but also I don't agree with that at all because, well, there's the whole thing right now, right, that's been coming out in the last maybe like couple of years about how some people can't, they don't have the mental pictures. Like when someone says, hey, can you think of a banana? Like, what are you thinking of? Like, what are you thinking of?
Like,
okay, think of an apple.
Apple.
Well, no, but like, what are you thinking of right now?
I'm thinking like a monkey.
No. Imagine an apple.
Okay.
What's in your head right now?
Oh, Snow White.
No. Imagine an apple. What are you imagining when I say picture an apple in your...
A red apple.
What does it look like?
Like a little ball with a stick on top, and it's red.
Is it a cartoon? Does it look like something that I'd have on my counter if you go out there right now?
Do you want my real answer?
I mean, yeah.
I'm thinking of like a Rembrandt painting that talks about vanitas on like at the Getty.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about ball gags or something.
Oh,
Please don't
no.
Go there. But no, that's much better. Okay, but you're in your mind, you're picturing, like, right? You're at least.
I see what you're saying.
In your mind, you're picturing some type of something that if someone was to, for some reason, go into your brain and go, we're going to lift whatever's in your brain and put it on a picture, they could put it on a picture that could hang here, right? Some people do not have that ability. Some people, you say, picture an apple, and in their brain, there's either blank, or there is maybe the concept, like the vibe of an apple, or maybe there's the text, like written, apple. And that's it. And I don't know if this has to go with the whole thing about how some people, they have the internal monologue of it being like words, like someone, when you're grocery shopping, you're going, oh yeah, I really need lemons. Do I need 1 or 2 lemons? How many lemons do I have in my fridge at home? And you're standing there, you're grabbing the produce, and you're kind of like putting it in your cart, and you're going, all right, do I need 1 or 2 lemons? I actually don't. Maybe I'll just grab 1 lemon because I might already have one at home, and I don't. But I need one for that recipe tonight. If I don't have, I'll grab 2. Versus someone else that will be grocery shopping and go, and like I don't know. I guess they don't have the internal monologue. I guess their thing is just more like, again, vibes, or whatever energy just propels them forward, where it would be like in their brain, they would register that like, oh, we need lemons. I don't know how many we have, but like there wouldn't be words in their brain saying that. Right. And I forget what the term is, but there's something, and like something about, I don't really know if there's a way to like test that or not. I thought I had heard something about someone had said it's pretty much like a 50-50 down the middle, like of people experiencing one or the other. And some people will sometimes switch one to the other. So it's not an indication of intelligence or anything like that. It's just what they're finding about people's differences. So when it comes to imagination and you being like, why don't we just make Disneyland and entertain ourselves? I get in the anti-capital side of things. You would be like, yeah, we don't need you. We don't need big companies to entertain us. On the other side of things, I'm like, well, yeah, we don't need big companies to entertain us because growing up, you'd run around with your other friends and have sticks and beat each other because you're all Luke Skywalker and whatever, right? Well, I was. And,
I was Princess Leia with a wig.
Which is funny. I was always Luke Skywalker. So, look at us now, Mom. But, it's like, we would do that, and we still can do that, right? You can go buy a book, but then if you buy a book written by another person, does that mean that you're outsourcing your creativity to that person? And is that bad?
That's a great question. Sorry. That's a great question. I don't think it's like a bad thing. I think, I don't know, maybe I just have like really idealistic expectations of society. Like, I think this is why the visual arts is such an important thing to teach people, because it kind of helps you formulate an opinion and understand what you're willing to kind of take in through your eyes,
Isn't that the idea of maybe like art literacy is not the right word?
No,
is that the right word?
It is art literacy. That's the word I was looking for. Like, especially with everything that's going on right now with technology and like AI and like the idea of like a quick image, right? Capturing people's attention. We don't have that visual literacy anymore. Like, there's this whole epidemic of like people not being able to read. I would also add in.
I've heard that. Yeah. Like school kids, like they're losing literacy.
It's like really bad right now. And I kind of feel like we're not also talking about arts literacy. Like, how are we able to distinguish something that's fake? How are we able to distinguish something that has already happened? How are we able to distinguish something of, I don't know, historical context? Like, I think this is so like critical and important in society because everybody will just fall for anything. Like, I feel very like, I feel like my mom should feel really lucky that I'm able to kind of help her like discern like things that are fake. It's like she'll watch these fucking videos. I'm like, oh my God, like guayaba leaves like cure diabetes. I'm like, no, it's not, Mom. That's not a thing. Like, but look at this video. Like it said, I'm like, Mom, that's AI. God, I'll never forget this. So it was recently in my grandpa's my grandpa from Mexico passed away. It was his birthday yesterday.
Ah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Costeño. Viva Mexico. 2-0.
Cumpleaños. Oh, yeah, there you go.
They're going to play against England July 5th. Yeah.
This is coming out after that.
Yes.
So.
What was it? Well, fuck. What was I going to say?
Grandpa's birthday yesterday.
Grandpa's
Mom.
birthday. Yes. One of my uncles fed my grandpa's images to an AI machine.
Oh.
And it's basically my grandpa descending from heaven, walking down the stairs up St. Peter's Gates. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? And my mom's like, I don't like that. I'm like, I don't like that either. Who the fuck did that? I remember I was there. But I was just kind of like, girl, what?
You said your uncle did it.
Oh, shit. You don't know what uncle. I'm a big fan.
I was going to say, actually, though, I couldn't guess which uncle.
But yeah, it's just like, I just feel like our literacy is like not there anymore.
Well, and isn't that also one of those things, like, because to me that reads as like, I understand that whoever it was that did that, did it with the best intention, all that. For me, I'm like, oh, isn't that kind of like lazy and disrespectful to the dead? Like, I don't know, would Grandpa want that? I don't know, maybe Grandpa would think it's cool. I don't know. But art literacy, I think the only time that I really encounter it in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, is like going to a museum. I do not like going to museums with people usually because I don't like having to discuss the art with someone as I'm looking at it, I guess, in the weird way. And I don't like
why?
I don't like not being able to take my time at each piece and like maybe, if I see some that I'm like, I don't really care about, I'm going to kind of skip over this. Oh, but this one, I want to spend time really looking at this and seeing like, how does it make me feel? But also like, ooh, this artist, ooh, let me Google this artist real quick and kind of like be like learning about maybe some of whatever, I don't like feeling rushed through the museum. I don't like, there's been a couple, when the Broad had the Keith Haring exhibit, I did go with someone to that.
That's a great exhibition.
That I kind of didn't know that much about him beforehand. And then I went and saw that. And the piece that got me was the unfinished at the end. I
was just about to ask you that.
That one, like, I was like, oh, like I took my time at that one. And even though I was like with someone, I was like, if you want to go ahead and go on. But I'm going to like stand here for a second, because that was the one that like such a, it was impactful. Right. But another reason why I don't like going to the museum with people usually is because I have gone on museum dates. Like, usually they're not first dates because to me that's a little bit risky or committing to like a couple hour, especially if it's like, LACMA or something. Like, it's a few hours. But I don't like having to almost deal with, not that I'm meant to educate them, but when someone goes, I could do that. Or why did that go for $1 million? Like, that's a dot on a canvas. And it's like, well, maybe, but also can we investigate, like, yeah, why? Who was the artist or who was, or, or them being like, oh, that's ugly. Why do they, whatever? Or, I get that those can all be critiques, but I think for me, I'm kind of like, no, but like, if I'm going to an art museum, I don't want to walk through a museum and just like shut myself off to all of it almost. 'Cause I'm not here to be like, I could do that. Why did that sell for $1 million? And like, just kind of, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't, but like.
Doesn't add to the conversation. It's not substantial. There's no depth.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting because I like talking about art, but I don't like going to museums with people.
You don't like going to museums with people who will take art for granted.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. 'Cause like, I mean, I've gone to museums a couple of times with people that, it's been quite delightful and quite fun. And I will have moments of like, discussing something about being like, oh yeah, look, like they're like, do you notice like those brush strokes over there? It's interesting that they went so heavy in that section of the canvas, but over there they really, like having those kinds of discussions is kind of fun. But I think some of it has been dampened on by being with people that will go in and just go, oh, that's, there's a naked woman. And it's like, yeah, actually the use of her breast being out was actually a big power move at the time. So this is the reason why that person's portrayed that way, like stuff like that where I'm like, I don't want to have to do this right now.
But you know what? I agree with you. I think that's why I like going on dates to the museum, because it really shows me like the emotional depth of someone, the empathy someone has, Like, what is their education with visual literacy? Like, there's a lot of things being tested. Like, them themselves are artwork and don't even know it. And you begin to see a lot of these things that kind of unravel before you. Like, I remember there was one day that I went on, and this guy was really smart. Like, I thought, oh, like, conversation is going to be really great, blah, 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 whatever. But I think he was kind of like losing a bit of the focus of the conversation, because we were there to look at the art. But then he started talking about like, well, you know, these people owe this, and like they owe this whole thing, and like, you know, this money even goes to the artist. I'm like, I get that, that's valid, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Like, I want to talk about like Kara Walker's pieces, about the silhouettes, about how these black silhouettes reflect black culture and the unfinished narrative that people have about slavery. That's bits and pieces that she's trying to compile together. Like, I don't know why we have to get into this whole like, let me not backtrack.
The broken system side of it?
Yeah, like I get it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't like question it. By all means we should. But like, hey, let's just like, I don't know, I want to talk about this work here with you. Like, can we stay present with that?
It's like going to a museum and being like, oh, well, it's all stolen anyways. And then dismissing all of it because you're like, it needs to be returned back to their people, which like, you know, yeah. But like saying that and then just not, I don't know. Because there was that whole thing, right, about being like, oh, this is from the private collection of whatever family, and like, ooh, that's absurd. Like, oh, now we're gonna. But then I think what it is it derails the conversation into now topics of like capitalism and private wealth and socioeconomics versus like the art that was created that we're looking at by an artist. I don't know.
I mean, I will say this. I think it is important that we question the systems in play that like affect the work. But I think I brought up that example because it's like, I think the way that people approach the art says a lot about them, whether it's a good or bad thing. I think taking them to a space where like their emotional intelligence is questioned, their logical skills are questioned. Like, I feel like museums are really good for that. I think in regards to the whole thing about the legitimacy of like stolen artwork from their like places, I think it's important that we like question those things too, because like, I'll give you an example. So there was an exhibition at MOLA that dealt with like immigration, right? And like, there was a lot of really great pieces that talked about the whole journey from like Latin America to like the US. Just a lot of great stuff. And I was really compelled by a lot of these pieces because they were playing with a lot of mixed materials like tires, sand, heat, like the whole thing about like immigrating from Tijuana to like San Diego, right? When I went out of the exhibition and I saw the artist like statement and artist picture, it was a little weird to me because like it was an artist photo, and she was in front of these like gondolas in Venice. She had like a Dior scarf, Chanel jewelry, like these giant ass pearls. I don't want to assume her history, but like it's a little weird when you're talking about like poverty and like the class systems, and then you have a photo of yourself that's like 18 by 24 inches next to like the title of the exhibition. Like, that's where it starts getting a little...
The whole thing where they talk about, like, poverty porn and, like,
yeah,
the wealthy studying human beings as though they're a species, like like a zoo group.
Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm maybe the last person to talk about this, but, like, I feel like where's, like, the relationship between the two things? Where's the, I guess, the decorum for this? Like, what is the thing that we're talking about here? But anyway, don't mean to derail the conversation, but you know, I just think like museums are great spaces to kind of test the waters out for people to see where they're like, where their visual literacy is at. If that makes sense. She's gonna slap me at some point.
I'm about to slap you for keep on itching those mosquito bites in your hand.
Oh shit, yeah. You know, I got bit right here in my pinky. It hurts like hell.
We're in mosquito season again. It's unfortunate.
Girl, they're like, tasty.
I think visual literacy, I feel like it's important at this stage in life only because I think when I was, like 20 and like running around dating, I think it didn't matter to me as much because I was also kind of one of those, I could do that, I was kind of one of those people, but also I was learning about art and I was taking like art classes and I was trying to like learn, I guess, because I was like, that's dumb. Why did that canvas that was painted all black go for so much money? Guess I'll look into it. And then I looked into it and then I learned. And then and then I keep learning. But when I'd go on dates with people that were also like the same way, I was just like, okay, cool. Doesn't matter. Right. But now I think at this stage, I'm kind of like, ooh, if you are on a date with me and you still have that whole, ooh, I could do this kind of mentality, like with everything, like that just shows me you didn't have the curiosity to look into, well, why does this piece get presented and this other artist doesn't or whatever, So I think it is like a good character reflection, but for me, I'm not willing to waste my time on that.
I mean, you don't want to waste your time with people who don't want to like engage that deep with you, right?
Like that's why it's not a first date. A museum date is not a first date for me. It's like
a third date.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those like at that point I kind of like trust that you'll be good company like longer than like because like I've done dinner as first dates or like lunches as first dates and you're already kind of locked into like an hour and a half at that point, maybe longer, but that is still less of a commitment to me than like wandering around a museum for possibly hours. I
never thought about that. That's actually a really interesting take. I'll never I forget this like piece that I saw about like one of my friends, Sabrina. Like I love going to museums with her. There was this one piece, I think it was at SF MoMA. I can't remember the artist to save my life. But essentially it was like this giant canvas painting and it was all black. And there was one like white line that soon turned into like color, right? Like a simple like white line and turned red, orange, yellow, whatever. And it was really interesting because like there's this whole notion with abstract art that's like it's kind of like, oh, I can do that, or what does it mean? Like this is nonsense, whatever. But through the lens of like a lived experience for someone who's black or like brown, like is this talking about voices, like queer voices that are silenced within the room? Is this talking about the black experience trying to make itself present in a patriarchal world? Like just like the thing that I absolutely love about art is that it really does act like a mirror on our education, on our morality, on where we are right now as humans. And like, it just goes to such a...
What? Formulating thoughts and words.
This is a great point to bring up in therapy.
Do you want to talk about after podcast or are you going to talk about it
no,
right now?
I can talk nothing deep, but like, I think I realize that like, I do overanalyze things a lot.
Yeah.
And I do see things as such an atomic like scale. And that's okay. I think there's a time and place for it. And I think like, I'm just realizing this, that like a painting can be this really great, amazing thing, but sometimes a tree can be a tree and that's okay.
What is the one, This Is Not a Pipe?
That's by Rene Magritte.
Yeah.
Fun fact, he worked in advertising.
Ah, makes sense. Different than what you're talking about though, because that's like...
Different from, like, it's different
your
from...
point, because his point was like, no, what is a pipe? And this is not a pipe, this is a depiction of a pipe.
Well, yeah.
Maybe that was deeper, actually. You're just saying, no, this is just...
No. That's actually a really great example. Because, like, when we look at that painting, right, somebody might say, well, that's just a pipe. Somebody else, it might be like, well, maybe that's a philosophical conversation on consumerism and the patriarchy and how it influences capitalism, right? It's like...
And then you can also look at it and go, oh, yeah, you're right. That's not a pipe. That is a depiction of a pipe.
Correct. It's
the end.
It's like it's such a crazy like I can't wait for you to edit this.
One shot, baby.
It's such a really interesting thing to like see art reflect like people's like thoughts at the moment presently, you know?
Ooh, I just went to it wasn't called a lecture, but it was essentially a lecture of, it was Guillermo del Toro, the director. Like, he was doing a series over at the Academy Museum on Hitchcock films.
Really?
Like, mind-blowing, incredible, for one. For two,
You should have started off with that, girl.
did not.
You should have been like, don't get mad at me. I didn't fucking tell you about the fucking lecture.
I wasn't getting gay about it. I just thought about it. Don't get mad at me. It's fine. But no, so he literally talked about how he was like, he loves Hitchcock and about the different eras where because, you know, he was producing movies during like this time, like where he was like, oh, globally, here's what was happening. Here's what was happening in his world. Here's like the things. And so he was like, oh yeah, you know, from this movie to this movie, that's kind of his whatever period. This movie to this movie is his like depression, dark era. This movie is like his hopeful, whatever. And it was interesting for him to talk about, like, you can really see what's being reflected in his movies of what was going on at the time, both in the world and in his own like personal life. And one, it was actually really cool because I thought it was going to be just like you know, like here comes like Del Toro walks out and like introduces the movie, maybe says like 5 minutes on like why it's an important movie or why he chose it or whatever to show during the series, and then he leaves and then the movie plays and then he comes back out and says maybe another 5 minutes and then everyone goes okay bye, and that's what I thought it was going to be. It ended up being him coming out and doing like a solid like 30 to 45 minutes of talking about, hey, and having slides and like clips from other movies being like, hey, you'll notice that Hitchcock, he really likes to like use nature as like, nature is not safe, but also buildings are not safe. So characters will run into buildings seeking shelter, but actually now that safe building has become a trap and it's so pay attention to that during this movie. And like, he uses a lot of lines, like intersecting lines, or the way he uses like diagonal lines to whatever in his framing of things, right? Like he's talking a lot about framing. And so he did like a 30, 45, and then we watched the movie, and then afterwards he came out and again another like 30, 45 minutes of like essentially analyzing. Like it was like sitting in a film class by Del Toro, which was so cool.
She said I work at the Getty.
So cool. So unexpected. Didn't know it was going to be that, but I was like, oh my goodness, that was, and then the other series, you know, they were sold out. So I only just went to that one. But it was very cool. And it was a very, like, to connect it to your whole thing about how art is a reflection, art is a mirror. In that case, it was like, yeah, he very clearly was pointing out like, oh yeah, you can tell that this is what was going on in him at that point.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like you going to these things and you adding to the visual vocabulary of like film and like cinematography, like that's really important. Like it's really important for us to like be influenced by a lot of different works, because then it kind of like it helps us sort of talk about our life in such a way that is really, I don't know if I want to say creative, but like different, you know?
Well, that's why like reading is really cool, because then you get words and things to talk about your own stories, your own, you know, being a storyteller, or you know, the thing that I really miss is like verbal storytelling and people being able to pass on stories, like, you know, the whole from one generation to the next or from one family member to the next.
Did I tell you I would do this thing with my dad where I invite him to dinner on Sunday?
Mm-hmm. Skateboard and stuff, yeah.
Skateboard and do all that stuff, but like I would cook dinner for us, and I would just tell him to tell me a story of when he lived in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. Some of these stories are fucking wild. Like, do you want to get really explicit or no?
We don't have time for that in this podcast.
Okay, we'll save it for the next episode. But yeah, something I really like about my dad is like the narratives and the stories that he tells me when we're like doing dinner. I'm trying to relate back.
Which again, that's also like an art. I'm saying that's like that's an art form.
Yes, storytelling. That's what it was. Verbal storytelling.
It is also interesting when it is a verbal storytelling of it being about their own story, because the way that they're framing themselves within the story is really interesting, right? And can be very reflective of like what they think of themselves in that time period or what they currently think of themselves. But also, I don't really also want to do too much like psychoanalyzing storytelling in that way, because also there's a whole side of, right, of like, I don't want to like psychoanalyze the crap out of some artist and like then interpret their work through that lens. Sometimes I like to know what's going on with them, but also sometimes I'm like, oh, but what if I just know that like this was spurned, like this self-portrait was painted after one of her miscarriages, right? Like that's good context to have, but I don't want to psychoanalyze it to the point where I'm like, oh, the monkey must represent this and that butterfly must represent. It can be cool. I think it'd be cool, but sometimes also if an artist is not standing there telling you that, sometimes a butterfly is just a butterfly.
I blame sex and romance in the Renaissance with Heather Graham. Great professor. But that class really made me see things on such a minute level. I did a 13-page essay on sea captain Andrea Doria and how masculinity was presented through the oil paintings of the 16th century. It was insane. Like, I went full... Girl, I felt like I was in a Da Vinci Code. I felt like I was Nicolas Cage in National Treasure.
You know why I say sometimes a butterfly is just a butterfly? Is because I think that can happen, right? You can do that with any art you want, right? You can overanalyze the crap out of it. But there was a series that was going on called like We the People or We Are the... It was basically where it was music videos specifically were being shown in a theater, like on the big screen, and then the director of the music video or the producer, I think it was usually the director, would... Did
you take me there?
Did we go to that together?
We went. We did go together.
So remember how one of them, it was the
first guy?
Hito? I
know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow. I forgot his
He looks like
name.
my friend Bobby.
I don't know what my friend Bobby looks like. Anyways, the This Is America music video, right? Iconic, all the things. There was a ton of symbolism in it, right? But there was like one thing where he was like, oh yeah, it was funny because like on the forums, we noticed people were really discussing like I don't remember if it was like a hairstyle choice or it was something that this character was wearing in the music video. And he was like, yeah, I actually was reading. I was like, wow, I wish we would have thought about that. Literally, she was in that because whatever it was either like, that was the only size that we had available but it was one of those, a good example of, no, the tree was just a tree. There wasn't any, but people ascribed so much meaning and depth to it that kind of was like, oh, well, that works, I won't counter that.
Why? What does it say about people that do stuff like that?
You do it. What does it say about you? I don't know.
That's why I'm asking you so you can give me insight about me. Which that's not
crisis, midlife crisis right now. Probably also midlife crisis, but I think mine's coming out in a little bit of a different way.
I think I want to say, how much time do we have left?
We're done. We're out of time.
Oh, never mind. We'll say that for later, girl. But I know we usually end with stuff that we usually cook. Do you?
Yeah, any life updates, cook stuff. I think cooking stuff is always really fun to talk about. I enjoy it because food.
Really good at it. Really.
Also really good at it. Both of us. Just that's how food is love. Love is food. Yay. I made a Thai basil simple syrup this last week, like a few days ago.
So fucking good.
And
so good.
I'm still experimenting with it to I think it might be I try to have like seasonal drinks that are my like go-to, like I can just throw this together really quickly. And I think that might be one I'm going to try to like hone for summertime because it's got a very strong, it's Thai basil. So it's very like licoricey kind of, but it's pretty strong. It's very green because I kind of use like the Jeffrey Morgenthaler way where you like blanch the leaf, you blitz them, and then you strain them with the simple syrup. And I have this Thai basil plant growing from cuttings of pho that I took from the restaurant because I just was like, I'll put them in and propagate. Yay. Thank you. Get a meal and a plant out of it. And so it's this huge like plant now, right? That I'm like, I have like bundles full. Like I used 100 grams of this basil, the sweet basil, and like I could still take probably another 500 grams off my bush if I really wanted to. Like there's so much out there.
I need to see it.
There's so much out there. You walk past it every day, but yeah, but I think I'm going to combine that I want to try it with a gin as my like base liquor. And then I'm probably going to try it with like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what flavors I really want to lean into.
I don't know why I want to do this, but I want to mix that syrup with condensed milk and put it on top of an orange gelato.
I have sweetened condensed milk. I don't have orange gelato, but I do have sweetened condensed milk.
So the way you can do is like just buy.
Brainstorm.
You can get it by an orange and just like.
I don't like orange gelato. I don't like orange ice cream.
I just don't know why do orange and basil go together?
I don't know. I would usually put, specifically Thai basil, I would put with like lime and lemon flavors. It probably could go with the orange. I think my thing is that it's already kind of licoricey and a little bit kind of sweet, like in my head. And so oranges can be a little bit more sweet. So I don't really know. Could try it and see. Anyways, what's any fun
updates,
food stuff you've done or any updates or anything?
I went to Oakland and had a lemon pepper pizza. I didn't really cook it.
Lemon pepper pizza.
But it was actually really delicious. My friends
Was it a white sauce pizza?
I think so. My friend Sabrina got it for me, and I'm like, I could eat like 3 of these pizzas. It's so good.
Oh, you know what I need to get soon? In Long Beach, there's that place that does the Thai curry pizza.
Oh, Thai curry pizza. Dean's Pizza. Dean's Pizza on 10th and Redondo. Really great pizza place.
Really like that one. When we were shooting a show on location, that was the one that the camera department used to go and get. And just good time.
I will say that pizza tastes a lot better the next day. Like heat it up in the oven the next day. Because then all the flavors really simmer into the bread. I think it's the best way to eat that pizza.
I've done that before with leftover, like when I have like leftover Indian curry the next day on a hot pizza, I like to dip like the crust in it and eat it like that.
I've never done that. That sounds really good. What have I cooked? I don't know that I cooked.
Just go with it. Stop. It's like a musician. If you make a mistake, you just move on. Which is why my dad said, "Will you wear this wing at the wedding instead of ring?" But it's okay. It's cute. We tease him about it now, 40-something years later.
I made, or I'm gonna make, because I had to thaw the beef. There's this like Thai basil beef, ground beef dish that I like making. I'm still waiting for the beef to defrost.
Oh, do you need basil?
Actually, yeah, I do need basil.
Okay, I'll send you.
I do need basil.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go to Costco, and I'm gonna buy a shit ton of carrots. Did I ever give you that carrot dish that I made? It's like a cold Korean carrot dish that I made.
No.
So you basically strip the carrot like in strips. And then you saute it with ginger, garlic, sesame oil, honey. Saute it, then put green onions, and then chill it in the fridge. So good.
Ooh, it's like a banchan kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love eating that in the morning with like eggs or chicken.
That's also really good for you, I bet.
Yeah. You get your fiber, you get your vitamin C? You get your vitamin C, like you get your little oils, like it's a great dish. And so I'm making like a bunch to just like freeze it and then get it out.
Will it freeze?
Yeah, because carrot has like water and stuff, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I wonder if the texture might get a little odd.
I mean, we'll figure it out. I love...
Try it and see.
I love that dish so much. Like I could eat tubs of this. It's weird because it's like, it's savory, but it's sweet, but it's like a dessert, but it's like a side dish. Like
I thought you were going to say that you were going to make that. Was it called like halal jalebi or gulabi or something? There's the Indian dessert that's carrots that are essentially like stewed and mashed carrots that you put like pistachios, cashews, cinnamon, and like a lot of butter and like sugar, and you essentially make like, it's almost like carrot fudge is the end result. Very nice, but I've only made it whenever I've had an abundance of carrots.
That sounds really like rich.
But the like banchan sounds like, oh yeah, it's great. I have like a little, like, it's like fudge, so you have like a little piece with your coffee or your tea.
That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah.
Yours
sounds really good too. I'll have to like get that recipe.
I just love banchan. It's so good. But yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then I've been drinking my protein shakes.
Yeah.
I drink like these like glitter protein. It's like purple goop. Like if you got Barney and like.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Anything to promote or anything? I don't think I have anything to promote yet. This podcast, I guess. This weekend's, I don't know.
We're actually waiting to see if we get accepted to the LA Zine Fest.
Oh, cool.
Me, Jake, and Bianca.
Did you guys make a zine, or is it all individual you made zines?
We're actually hoping to plan to get a table together, and we're all going to make a zine for like the event. So
that'd actually be cool. I heard about the Zine Fest last year, and I heard about it after the fact.
No, it's really great. There's a lot of really great shit there, and like Jake just recently did a Zine Fest like a while back, and he did pretty well. Well, he's also really an exceptional designer.
I need to get your zine from your friend about death too. That was one I was forgetting about.
Katie, I need to ask Katie about it. I'll actually message her after.
Anyways, we've gotten quite off topic. I'm glad that your bladder's held. I feel like you usually have to pee at the end of these episodes, so like the regular bladder timer hasn't gone off.
Flomax, baby. We're 35.
Okay, well we're gonna go. So with that way, Flomax be maxing still.
This is gonna be a great thing.
See you next time.
Bye. I'm sorry.
What? Okay.